Striking union members are picketing outside SAA headquarters at Kempton Park, east of Johannesburg. Meanwhile, passengers are stranded on day one of the strike, and this strike is over pay and job cuts at the airline. Last-minute talks to try and avert the strike failed yesterday, and the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, NUMSA, and the South African Cabin Crew Association are sticking to their demand of an 8% wage increase in December. They've rejected SAA's offer of 5.9% to be paid in March next year. The unions also want job security for at least 3 years and the insourcing of certain services. On Monday, SAA announced restructuring plans that could lead to the loss of almost 1,000 jobs. So for the latest on the SAA strike, we cross now to our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who's at the OR Tambo International Airport. Mbali, once more, over to you. Tell us about what the latest developments are at OR Tambo.
Good morning, Sakina. We've just had SAFTU Secretary General addressing the striking workers outside here at the SAA headquarters, and he's essentially told workers that, they will not budge on their demand of 8%, and they are just waiting for SAA to come to them and meet their demand. And until then, they will be standing out here picketing and continue with this very strike. He's also called on the return of former SAA CEO Riane Jagana, saying that they had an arrangement, an agreement, and they've negotiated an arrangement with him where the turnaround strategy did not involve the restructuring of SAA and the massive job losses that were announced earlier this week. And he's essentially called on SAA to bring him back and for the current board to be fired. And he's also stressed the fact that he believes that the latest round of restructuring is in an effort to sell off SAA to private equity partners. And I spoke to him a bit earlier, asking him that if he's aware that SAA has rejected these allegations. We understand that during a media briefing that happened earlier this week, SAAC acting CFO spoke to us saying that they're not in the process of selling SAA because SAA is a sick child and they just need to secure the future of SAA, basically refuting those claims of the possible sale of SAA. And we've heard NUMSA saying that they do not believe in the sale of SAA because the prices will essentially go up and that that South Africa will see a lot more job losses at SAA if SAA is to be privatized. They've also called for Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, to be removed in his position as the minister. They're saying that he's arrogant and he's not assisting in any way with regards to resolving the issues at SAA. But for now, it would be interesting to find out what's happening at other airports around the country because this is the situation here. The picket continues. Workers are actually standing in front of the robots, getting ready to go across to the other side at SAA Technical. Ayanda Mhlongo, what's happening there?
We are trying to go to SAA.
Bali, thanks very much and good morning to our viewers. We're coming to you live from the King Shaka Airport here in Durban. And just to paint you a picture coming in to the airport, we were, as we drove in this morning, possibly expecting to see some of the striking workers outside. But it's all clear as you make your way driving here into the airport. And outside it seems to be passengers as well. We're on this top floor, or the first floor, at the arrivals section of the airport, and most of the stores and the businesses at the airport are in the floor behind us, and it seems to be at this time a steady flow of people. Of course, usually on Fridays, for those frequent passengers, tell us that it is often really busy, and so not as busy as normal Fridays would be. And so right now we are in front of the South African Airways counters. There has have been some passengers, very few this morning, that have come through, and it seems that they are being redirected to other airlines. And possibly, if you could see now, I'm going to just ask my colleague Tulani just to pan to the ticket office. That is one group of people who arrived here this morning and were turned away from the counters, possibly not receiving that information yesterday that the flights from Durban had been cancelled, and it's likely that a lot of the passengers are now trying to get reimbursed their tickets and then make their way to the other airlines to try and get alternative flights. But it has, as I said, been one of the busiest sections here of the airport and the SAA check-in. And this morning, as you can see, it is very quiet. There is the SAA staff here at the counters. In fact, every single one of the counters is being manned by the SAA staff. But this morning, many of the passengers or those passengers that we've seen come through, this is another group that we see now of passengers. They were at the ticket office and they're possibly now getting their tickets and now reimbursement and moving on to other airlines. We also just outside, I took a moment to go outside to speak to the metered and e-hailing taxi operators outside the airport, and of course they make a lot of business as well from the passengers that are coming through, just to speak to them how the strike has affected them or is likely to affect them if it continues. And they were saying business has been a little bit steady this morning, but of course they are concerned as a lot of their customers are SAA passengers, and on their side they're hoping that the unions as well as SAA are going to be able to resolve this impasse. And so with them really saying that they have a lot of clients that come through, they have accounts that they pick up regularly, and today unfortunately they have not been able to make that business, and so very reliant on the SAA passengers. And so that is just what we heard from the businesses or those, the e-hailing and meter taxi companies that are operating from inside the airport. So we will hope to speak to some of the passengers that are being turned away. We tried a few this morning, and people saying they were not informed, they did not know. In fact, they had hoped that and some were saying that although last night they had heard that the negotiations were continuing, they had possibly hoped that there was going to be possibly an outcome or decision that was going to be made earlier on this morning. So it was basically to come here to the airport to try their luck. It is a bit of frustration from some of a few of the passengers that we spoke to before coming on air, to say now that they have to make alternative arrangements. Others had business meetings, they had connecting flights once they got to OR Tambo, and so a bit of frustration on that, and most of them saying that they do hope that this matter is resolved. Of course, we are going to be standing here at the airport as well, trying to see if we can speak to some of the passengers as they come through, but also we are trying also from KwaZulu-Natal at least to speak to the unions. There is the NUMSA secretary that we spoke to last night, Mbuso Ngobane, from KZN, and he said that at some time they were going to come through to the airport. So we hope that we catch up with them just to get what the situation is like from their side as the union representing the striking workers, and whether or not there's been any updates that they are receiving from their negotiators and the union leaders up in Johannesburg. But for now, we're going to leave things here at the King Shaka Airport in Durban. We're now crossing to my colleague Leigh Paulse, who is in PE. Jade?
Well, Ayanda, Port Elizabeth Airport is very small. We're not as big as King Shaka International or Cape Town International or even OR Tambo. But here at the Port Elizabeth Airport, spoke to a lot of disgruntled passengers who have had their flights redirected from SAA. As it stands now, it's a very small skeleton staff here at the airport in terms of the SAA staff. And just speaking to some of the passengers, saying that this is a very big inconvenience, as you know, the Eastern Cape is home to many businesses, and many businessmen and women are travelling from OR Tambo International to Port Elizabeth, as well as East London Airport here in the Eastern Cape for business meetings. I'm going to try and speak to a couple of people. If Mcebisi can also just show you that several flights have been delayed. Oh, it has just changed now. But on that, TV, it has said that several flights have been delayed, and there have been several disruptions as well in terms of some of the passengers being rerouted to other airlines. I imagine that the influx is humongous, so they're trying to find seats for various passengers. But let's just try our luck and speak to some of the passengers that have been waiting here. Sir, I noticed earlier this morning you've been sitting here for quite a while. Were you scheduled to fly with SAA, and which airline are you flying with now?
I'm flying now with Mango. I was supposed to fly with SAA, but now the problem is that the flight that I was supposed to leave at I think 8:25 is now rescheduled to 10:15. Actually, it's really frustrating, and this has been happening for the past 3 months. All the flights of SAA has been rescheduled, rebooked to Mango, and it's really frustrating because actually the privileges that we are getting in SAA, now they are being forfeited.
I just want to touch on those privileges you spoke about, because I know that SAA, they do offer certain privileges on the airline when you book with them, and now when it's rerouted, do you get the similar privileges, or do you get a cutback with regards to your money? How does it work?
Look, on the ticket it will be written that you are entitled to a meal voucher, but it's not as the same as the one that we are getting in SAA. You understand? And then you have to order while the flight attendant is there. But in SAA they just ask you if will you prefer to have something, then they just giving you. You understand? There you have to order, they have to tell you that you are left with this amount of money, you can take this, you cannot take that. It's really inconvenienced. So the privileges actually are on the SAA.
So you also mentioned that this has been happening for quite a while, for 3 months now. Has there been anyone from SAA that you've spoken to with regards to why this is occurring?
No. Nobody has actually come forward to explain to us since we're here what has been happening. Look, we have seen it on the news that there won't be much flight of SAA. So I was thinking that those flights have been now directed to Mango, but for now nobody has really come to us and explained to us what is this all about.
Thank you so much for your time, sir, and your views on the matter. I'm just going to try a few more passengers. If Mcebisi can just walk with me. Let's try these ladies over here. Ma'am, are you flying with SAA by any chance? I've seen you standing also around for quite a while.
I was supposed to fly with SAA. My flight was supposed to depart at 8:25, but apparently they did change us to Mango Airline, so now we're flying also at 10:15, which is really frustrating. I couldn't believe it when I get to the counter and they told me, Guti, my flight is going to be delayed and going to Mango. So yeah, it's quite an inconvenience, because I had now to change my arrangement for the shuttle to collect me at OR, and the rest of the plans for the day are already distorted, so it's quite bad. We're just hoping for no more of such an inconvenience ever again. Yeah.
Are you from Port Elizabeth? Are you here for business?
I'm just here for business, and due to leave today. We just came this week, and we were supposed to leave early morning for other plans for the day. So, yeah,
it's a huge inconvenience. A lot of the passengers that we spoke to this morning said that, it has been very difficult for them. They had to have changed their plans. Many of them businessmen and women that have come into Port Elizabeth for business meetings and so forth, and having had to change their plans now. I'm going to try one more lady. Ma'am, are you also flying with SAA, or were you scheduled to fly with SAA and had to change your particular plans this morning?
Yes, I have to fly with SA. Apparently, when I arrive here at the airport, I just checked that our flight is delayed by 2 hours. So it's really frustrating me as a person who's staying in Nelspruit. When I arrive in Joburg, I have to take my car and drive to Nelspruit. So it's really frustrating me because I was here for the whole week. I miss home. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much for your time. A lot of the same sentiments. People are very disgruntled. People are very angry. And also, it's a huge inconvenience here. We're going to be stationed here for a while, speaking to various people. Like I mentioned earlier this morning, several of the other airlines have had to pick up some of the passengers that were expected to fly with SAA. As it stands, very skeleton staff here at Port Elizabeth Airport. Very, very small staff. We haven't really seen any of the baggage staffers employees. We've been trying to walk around and see who we can speak to, maybe perhaps speak to them and ask them, how disgruntled they are and in terms of the strike. But we're going to be crossing to Manelisi in Cape Town and find out what's happening at Cape Town International.
Thank you very much. Cape Town is it's a very slow day right here in Cape Town. I mean, Thank you very much. Cape Town is a very, very, very slow day right here at the Cape Town International Airport. This route is a most busiest route, Cape Town to Johannesburg. I was checking in the boards there, the flights that were either cancelled or grounded. I counted about 12 flights that were supposed to have been here by now, either landing or departing to Johannesburg and other places. And now the workers are also gathering to start their picket and their protest outside the Cape Town International Airport. I have the NUMSA spokesperson or representative here, Zola Batatu. Zola, you have successfully managed to ground lots of flights right here. What's the end game?
Thank you, Tatu Manelisi. First of all, I'll correct something says that we have managed to ground aircraft. First of all, our company, after we have submitted the notice that we are going to the industrial strike today, they have decided yesterday to suspend all flights to make sure that there is no operation prior to the strike. Have we started this morning at 4 o'clock? There were no operation that was taking place, but we are here as members of South Africa, as members of NUMSA, employees of South African Airways. It is NUMSA SACA together fighting for their wage demand. It is not only wage demand, Mr. Manelisi Dubase. It is also the demand of that. South African Airways has been not making money for quite many years. We have asked the Department of Enterprise to intervene and go and ask the board what is going on at South African Airways, because there are a lot of issues that are taking place at South African Airways. It is not only that we are not getting our wage. After we have served the company with the notice that we are going to on a strike, the company has sent the communication to our union offices to say that they are looking at retrenching us. We as the South African Airways employees, we didn't know that. We just saw it on the media that South African Airways is looking at cutting jobs. That we were surprised to hear from the media, because first of all, as the employees of South African Airways, we feel like the company should have consulted us and told us, listen, we cannot afford to have so many employees at South African Airways. Therefore, we are going to cut 900 staff, which means to us, South African Airways is not willing to talk to the staff. Another thing that we want to make sure that happens at South African Airways, to get our increase, it is very important to us as employees to get our increase, because we have started to negotiate with the company to engage when it comes to wage negotiations in March this year. And actually, the counterpart of the company was that they cannot give us an increase this year at all.
But Zola, they said to us earlier that they are giving you 5.9% increase. They say that's what they can manage. As you yourself were saying that the company is broke, why can't you take that increase?
Okay, I like that question, Tatu Manelisi. First of all, the question of 5.9%, if you would go and they must tell you exactly what is the condition of 5.5. If anybody that is a worker cannot take that 5.9, because 5.9 is got conditions whereby the management is saying only if they have money, which means they're not sure if they have our increase, if they're going to say we are giving you 5.9 but only if we have money, which means now that is not increase. Increase must be signed and saying that we are giving you 5.9 backdating from this time and you are going to get your money, not to say that we are giving you 5.9, we backdating, then only if we have money then we'll pay you your increase. That is not an increase, Peter Manelisi.
And then just quickly, Zola, are you going to be here until when? If you can just remind our viewers.
When it comes to that, Manelisi, we are depending on South African Airways management to call us and sit with us. We haven't closed the doors of company to come and engage with us. We are still open with the engagement, which means we will be here up until South African Airways come to us and come and talk to us when it comes to wage. We are willing to negotiate with the company, but it's just that the company, instead of coming to negotiate with us, they go to the media.
Do I hear you properly when you say it's not that you are ending this strike tomorrow as we initially heard? You are saying that you can go on and on until the company come back to you?
I believe that Manelisi, even our General Secretary, as Numsai, he mentioned yesterday that this is an indefinite strike. As long as the company is not coming to us and negotiate with us, we are not going to go back to those workplaces.
Well, thank you very much. You have heard that the workers say that this strike now is an indefinite strike. I was under the impression earlier that the strike will be going on until tomorrow. I said earlier that the knock-on effects on other businesses here is huge. Businesses like restaurants, security companies, the taxi industry and all that. So it is going to be very, very tough for other workers outside the South African Airways.